It's Ronin Man here. Facebook is facing the biggest existential crisis in its history. People search the delete Facebook hashtag, and you will see that this is no joke. The biggest crisis, Facebook. People are quitting Facebook. Governments are talking about all kinds of regulation. Shit is going down, and who's responsible? Okay, in a company, when there's a crisis, the buck stops somewhere. Where does the buck stop in this case? Let's dig into this one. Okay, Facebook advertising is run by a person named Sheryl Sandberg, if you're not familiar with her. Okay, Sheryl Sandberg is quite an interesting character, and she's very much the top person at Facebook ads, and this includes apps and data. Okay, so basically all of the data that Facebook has is used in the advertising. Okay, so for example, if you want to target people make it look sinister, but actually it's not that. For example, if you want to, let's say you want to do an ad to, high school students to study abroad. Okay, so what you would do is you would say, let's say that you want to recruit for a female, some kind of high school abroad. You would go into Facebook, you would choose the age that you want to choose, and then you would choose the sex that you want to choose. And then you can choose what they like. So if they like, traveling, or they like, you would choose the different things that you would create a custom audience. Okay. The audience is a very specific group of people. So they narrow, so you don't have to advertise to everybody on Facebook. You can just narrow it down to the people that match the description of potential buyers for your product, right? That's how Facebook advertising works, right? Okay. And also same with Google. But Facebook has more data, so they can do it better, right? They do a great job of this. Also, Twitter does advertising, and there's a few more. But the big one is Facebook. And Facebook advertising, let's see, do we have, I don't know if I still have it here. Basically, advertising was started, I don't have it anymore. Okay, I want to do a little quick history lesson. There's a guy named Bill Gross at a company called GoTo.com, and he was the one who first invented click advertising, right? And so it was very basic back then, back in 1996. And then it got more and more sophisticated over the years. And to take you back to that time, back in the 90s, when the internet was just, getting to the average person, right, is that there was a lot of people on the internet. In 99, there was a huge internet bubble. But the big problem at that time is that you had all this traffic. Okay, you had all these people going online, but you had no way to make money. There was no way to make money. It was like, it was just all these people. It was like if you had a garage sale and like hundreds of millions of people walked by your house, but you had no way to sell them anything, right? So what they needed somebody to create a way to advertise, to make money. Sorry, not advertise, to make money off all this traffic, because it costs a lot of money for servers, hackers, traffic protection, security. It's very expensive, right? So, and I just want to also say this, is there's always the naysayers and there's always the doers. So back at that period, most people and every journal article I ever read said that it's hopeless. Okay, YouTube is a joke because they're never going to be able to make money off all this traffic. Sure, they got all the traffic, but it's no money. And there was even a South Park episode, Internet Money or something like that. And it was like, it was like making fun of this fact at the time, is that there was no money from the internet. The only way you could make money is being on TV, right? The internet was just like for free, right? And so, but Bill Gross invented a way, and then it got slowly improved. There was a company called DoubleClick, which I was very interested in. DoubleClick. I used to go to their website all the time. I didn't advertise with them. This is back early 90s, mid 90s maybe. And I thought they were a very cool company. And they were kind of like sophisticated click advertising at the time, right? Compared to now, it's a joke. And there was another company called AdMob. I don't know if it's pronounced AdMob or AdMob, but either way, Google bought both those companies, and they created they added in their PageRank, which was Google's basically claim to fame was PageRank, which was improved the results, search results, because Google's main job is to give you the best results that you like. The other people were always trying to shove things down your throat that made them money. Google was always like, we'll give them the best results of anybody and they'll come back and we'll find a way to make money later. That was always Google's way of thinking about the internet. And that was the correct way of thinking. That's the exact same way of thinking that Mark Zuckerberg had. Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, his whole thing, reason for being was create the best user experience. So you come back and he redoes, they do all these things behind the scenes to make Facebook better and better for what you want. Now, that's the user experience side. There's a whole nother side, which is making money. And that's not Zuckerberg's side. Okay. So Sheryl Sandberg is in charge of that. Okay. So now, but very important, she's not in charge of the technology. Okay. She admits she doesn't understand the technology. She's not a technology person. And that's also important in this story. Very, very important. And also Google, when all of their executives for, I don't know how many years, but until fairly recently were PhDs. You had to be a PhD in technology in order to get a job at Google in the beginning, because they didn't want people who were business people like Sheryl Sandberg who don't understand technology. They wanted everybody in the company to understand fully because they thought it was super important for Google. But they changed over the years. And, reality comes along. It's nice to have all PhDs, but it's also important to have enough people, right? And they couldn't get enough PhDs, right? And the price of those PhDs got too expensive, and they realized they didn't need them for every position and blah, blah, blah. Changed over the years. Okay, so Sheryl Sandberg, she's got a sweet job, okay? I talked about before that I worked in recruiting. I owned a recruiting company for 8 years where I searched for people, top level people, board of directors level for Microsoft, Cisco, EMC, Costco, all kinds of companies. I don't know how many total clients I had over the years, but it was a lot and I did well. And it was my most successful business, I could say, by far. I was making over $100,000 a month in my pocket. It was a very sweet time and I really enjoyed it. And so when I look at someone like Sheryl Sandberg, I'm looking at her from the perspective of somebody who I'm not on her level. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, when you might not be on the level of the doctor. You might be the president of the United States. But when you go to the doctor, you guys are on the same level. If nothing, he's above you because he's fixing you, right? So when I look at someone like Sheryl Sandberg, I don't come into them like, oh my gosh, you're this great executive. I might do that outside of work. But when I'm working and she needs a new job, she comes to me humble. People like that. They're like, okay, here's my history. Here's my resume. Here's what I'm good at. Do you know anybody, that would be a good fit for me, right? So that's the perspective I'm going to look at her from. So I put her into the niche is what she is, and she's got a very interesting niche. I believe that her niche is monetizing AdWords at companies. So she started out at Google, and Google, like I said, the technology was started by men, programmers, and several companies together combined, along with PageRank from Google's organic technology, to make a fantastic ad system. But they needed somebody who was more of a deal maker. Okay, somebody who had old boy connections. Basically, they needed like an old boy network type of person because they had the technology. So they had good technology. So if you were like a small company and you wanted to advertise on Facebook's advertising, even back in like 97, it worked and it was pretty good. Or not, was it 97? No, it wasn't that early. Either way, back in the beginning, you could advertise with Google, but the problem was it was quite clunky and difficult to use. And small businesses, even today, it's difficult to use. I don't know if you run Google Ads. I run Google Ads, but it's so complex. It drives me insane. It is very difficult. There's thousands of variables with a good ad campaign. And I've got lucky before and hit it good, but it just always gives me stress. Google Ads is difficult, okay, to do well. So her job was not that side. In other words, the companies like Google and Facebook at the time, they could not make enough money off these small businesses. They needed to be more like an advertising company and get in the old school big clients. And that was what Sheryl Sandberg did. So when you think about the old boys network smoking in the Harvard Club and stuff. That's what she was. And that's why it drives me crazy when everybody always portrays men as being like this. I mean, this woman, 100%, that's what she is. And that's what she was good at. Okay, so fine, right? But they always portray them as bad in men. And then when a woman does it, even bigger than men, nobody even says fucking anything, right? This girl is totally old school. She's not even she's not a technologist in any way, shape, or form. And she admits it. And we'll go through the articles where she talks about it, right? But she is good at bringing in these big clients. Procter and Gamble, these are the type of clients, right? The big ones that advertise a lot, right? That's what she brought in. She brought in these big companies, and Google did very well. Facebook then stole her away using a headhunter, probably like myself, right? And then they built their advertising platform, right? So she is 100% responsible for this current crisis because data was misused, okay? Now, I talked about it from a Cambridge Analytica perspective last time. That's a different thing. That's the company. This is all from a Facebook perspective, okay? So Cambridge Analytica just did what just to recap, what any company that's selling on the internet does, like an affiliate sales network. They buy data, they scrape data, they buy lists, they clean the list, they create a psychographic of their target customer, and then they advertise to them. They write content that they think is going to be attractive to them. They get them to do something. Usually it's like one article, they want you to do one thing. Click here, right? Buy this, go to this link. There's like one call to action. That's what they do. So what Cambridge Analytica did is essentially not nefarious like everybody talks about. It was just basically it was even kind of out of date. Like it's kind of, I don't know. It's so funny how the general public knows so little about what's going on in the world that they thought this was some kind of like NSA type CIA operation. It was like very, very low tech, old school, out of date even, but it was good enough for politics because politicians are totally behind the times and they have no skills in the modern world. So they are, in my experience, I think politicians are like the lowest of the low. So technologists that are bringing us forward, and then the government's like sucking off them, like, basically living off these guys who create things, right? So either way, that's my personal opinion about it. So either way, and I think it bears out that politicians are always behind the times, right? Especially when it comes to technology, right? So, okay, so you get to the internet, you get to affiliates, man. These mofos, man, they are sharp, man. Holy moly, you meet these guys. I told you guys to go to the affiliate world in Thailand, where it turns out that the president of Cambridge Analytica was, and a lot of my friends met and went out with him, and you met a lot of cool guys there. But either way, side note. Okay, so we've had 7 days of attacks. We've had the biggest hashtag. We have Facebook crumbling, people quitting. Now, who's in charge? Sheryl Sandberg. Where is she? Who knows? She's done nothing, okay? It's been 7 days. Okay, now finally yesterday, 6 days into it, she finally pops up, okay? But she hasn't done much, okay? So like, here we go, this is this hilarious article by Inc. magazine, or Face Fast company. Finally, people are starting to say things about female executives that is not like, oh, they're like perfect and awesome, So here's what they say. Over the weekend, it was business as usual on Facebook CEO's Sheryl Sandberg's profile page. She shared, this is while Facebook is crumbling, okay? She shared 2 photos from a visit to her daughter's elementary school. On Friday, she shared a New York Times article about the 5th anniversary of her nonprofit Lean In and the blockbuster book that made her a household name. We still have a lot to do, but I'm proud that more women are speaking up, she wrote. This is on Friday. This is while her company's collapsing, okay? Her company is being protested. Lawsuits are lining up. Everything's going to shit her company. She's posting about her nonprofit, okay? It's standard hair fare for the Silicon Valley billionaire. And she is a billionaire from Facebook. A mix of cheerleading women in business and plugging her regular mom bona fides. She made no mention of another Times article, also published over the weekend, which said Trump consultants exploited the Facebook data of millions. She said nothing about that. She didn't do any press, nothing No press releases, no interviews. She had time to talk about Lean In though, her which we'll talk more about Lean In later. Now, there's two reasons why she was hired. And the second one is not as clear as the first one. The first reason why she was hired is to monetize their ad network. And I really want to quickly say something here. Is I've read a lot of articles that say that she is responsible for making Facebook money, which made Facebook, worth a lot of money for their stock price. IPO made everybody rich. I really want to say that you guys, it's easy to believe that, but let me tell you how it really works. Okay, imagine you're a real estate developer, okay? You buy a piece of land and you're going to build a casino. Now, you build a casino, you get the license, okay? You buy the machines, and then you hire somebody who's in charge of gambling revenue, okay? They're in charge of getting clients and this and that. Now, of course, revenue is zero before you hire that person. And then after they hire them, all of a sudden, millions of dollars a month. Is it entirely the person's responsibility who is hired to bring in gamblers to a casino that is legal, that has air conditioning, that's on the strip in Las Vegas, and has nice leather seats and huge lights outside? No. That's why you don't give all the money to that person. You hire them as an employee, or you might hire them as give them a few shares in the company if you think it's important enough, right? Their job of bringing in people, right? So, of course, she was hired at the time when Facebook was not making money, and Facebook made a lot of money after that. But already ads were already the way to make money with traffic. Everybody knew that. It started out with GoTo and DoubleClick, and then AdMob, and then Google, and then now, obviously, Mark Zuckerberg is not a complete idiot. He's heard of Google before, okay? Their headquarters are close by. I've been to both of them, okay? So, he knew very well that the future of Facebook was going to be advertising revenue, but he is very much like Pony Ma in China. His main goal was to create a better user experience, make it more sticky, right? So you spent more time on Facebook. That was his whole idea. That's all he cares about. He cares about it. He wants to bring in more people, and he wants it to be stickier and stickier, and he wants it to be the best place to be. Then he hires somebody, and her job then is to run ads, right? And to bring in big clients, right? So don't mistake those two. The developer who buys the land and creates the company, gets the licenses, buys the machines, sets it up on the strip. They're the ones who are responsible. Now, if somebody does a great job of doing their job at that casino, you got to give them a pat on the back, right? That's great. And she did do a good job, okay? But don't forget that this is not, money didn't come out of nowhere, okay? She didn't create this money. If it wasn't her, it would be somebody else, okay? Facebook was one of the highest traffic sites in the world, okay? And the business model of monetizing traffic with ads was well established. And Mark Zuckerberg was very slow to implement because he wanted to wait. Mark Zuckerberg was very smart. He wanted to wait until people really liked to use Facebook. He didn't just jump in and make it ads everywhere because then he knew people wouldn't stick, right? He wanted to beat the other MySpace and all the other competitors in other countries. There was a lot of competitors, not just in America. There was some huge competitors in Japan. And so he was very wise decision to focus on user experience. And then her responsibility is ads. Okay, so now ads are creating something that's like ruining the company. Where is Sheryl Sandberg? She's nowhere. Finally, Fast Company. Somebody speaks the truth here. Okay, talking about this, CEO has yet to directly comment on any recent reporting and laid bare the ugly truth of the company's advertising-based business model. So which she is credited with building from scratch. Okay. CEO Mark Zuckerberg has kept mum, but it's Sandberg who many feel is best positioned to speak out. And of course, she's responsible. Okay. It's easy to say that Mark Zuckerberg does everything, but it's as a president, as a CEO, you can't micromanage your employees. You give them responsibilities. Your responsibility is monetizing the ads, okay? You're in charge of ads. You're in charge of the app data, Okay? Now take care of it. And that's her job. So Mark not saying anything to any intelligent person who understands how companies are structured, the hierarchy, she would be devastated if he stepped in and started talking about it. Her job is to, first day, come out with something. What she should have done the very first day is hired the best PR company that she could hire and to formulate a strategy, stay up all night, work her ass off, within one day, come out with a very strong statement of what the company believes. And maybe it's like you can be a little bit unsure, like we're not sure yet, we're still getting things together, but here's what we know right now. Here's the special way you can contact us. Ways to let the pressure off, right? And that's what a PR company does for you in moments of crisis, right? There's a great book called Glass Jaw. I recommend Glass Jaw for anybody out there. It's about how anybody can be taken down on the internet today. You can be attacked. There was that woman who posted some kind of tweet, and she was flying to Australia, and then by the time she landed, she was the most hated person in the world or something, So we all have to be ready. We all have a glass jaw. One punch, we're down, right? So really recommend that book, Glass Jaw. But companies also have a glass jaw. Even the greatest company, or Steve Wynn, anybody taken down like that, right? You got to be ready, especially as a top executive. So why wasn't she ready? What happened? Okay. And this is a woman. Okay. They say in this article, right? She was chief of staff. I didn't realize that, to U.S. Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers. And she's also best-selling author, public speaker, Oprah interviewee. She has all the channels you need. There is nobody more privileged than her in the media if she's on Oprah, okay? This woman she's got a red hot line to Ellen, Oprah, every PR company in the world, every advertising agency. They are her clients, okay, for God's sake, right? So she's going to get very special treatment from the advertising companies, right? She can get the best PR company in the world overnight to come up with a strategy. She did nothing, okay? Nothing, okay? She didn't do anything. Even today, every company, when there's a major PR debacle, whatever you can pronounce it, then you have a very short window to come in and let the pressure off, right? And it's really funny too, like they say here, is that Facebook's whole thing is share, be transparent, be open. And that's what we were supposed to get when we get females in power, is we were going to have no more of this behind the scenes old boy network. Now, she was hired as an old boy network for God's sake. No technology background, okay? Government. Now she's leading a technology group in Silicon Valley, okay? So when something goes wrong, I believe she didn't even understand what happened. Like, she didn't even understand. She's not a technology person, right? So, but we'll go more into that, why I think that. Okay, so here we go. Let's see quickly. I want to get this. There's so much data here, so much stuff here. This is a great episode. I love this episode. But they're not responding. Things are getting worse every minute. Does Facebook owe the American people an apology? People are saying people are really upset. Delete Facebook. Blah, blah, blah. New York Times. Oh, well, we have some news about Sheryl Sandberg. There's a back and forth appearing. That means like an article that's updated back, and it's going back and forth on Twitter, and it's also erasing mentions of her when she was basically, she's covering shit up. We'll go into that. So this was supposed to be transparent. Women are going to be, once women are executives, and again, I'm not bagging on women. I'm just saying that the argument that this was not going to happen. No more old boys network. No more, old school smoking in the back room, big clients coming in. It was going to be all clicky, online, transparent, open. When women come in, it was all going to be super nice. Communication was going to be excellent. Women are much better communicators. We were not going to have 6 days of Facebook being hit by torpedoes, almost sinking, people talking about breaking Facebook up. That wasn't going to happen because a woman was going to be very good, very smooth, especially a woman who had the opportunity to talk to the media, and she didn't have anybody. There's no glass ceiling there. She could do whatever she wanted, and we're going to see that she did exactly what she wanted. Okay, so, but that's not what happened. That's what we're talking about here. And again, it's not a way to bag on people. It's just to say that old argument is not true. And again, a good person is a good person. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. We need to stop putting people in power who don't deserve it. I don't care what color you are. You're purple, white, black, brown. It doesn't matter. You don't get anything for free. You gotta be. I don't think she should have been hired for this job without having technology background, personally, because understanding tech requires understanding technology. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where it just gets so complicated. You need somebody who can program. You need somebody who understands the basic, so they can talk to programmers and figure out whenever a problem happens. You got to go to those programmers. You got to talk to them and understand what the hell they're doing back there. And if you've never programmed and you don't understand their world, it ain't easy to manage those guys. They don't trust you either, And there's a lot of reasons why people didn't trust Miss Sandberg, and let's get into those. So real quick, delete Facebook is a big thing, like I said. Here's a couple months ago, last year, Facebook had ads targeting racists. Racists were using Facebook ads. I don't think she did a very good job. Sandberg didn't do a very good job responding to this one either. She was very slow. They were targeting people that hate Jews and things like that. Super serious. People were using. They were using keywords like Jew haters, how to burn Jews. This was the keywords that were being used to make ads inside of Facebook. Now, again, a lot of this is algorithm. So it's just somebody should have been watching. Who was watching the store here? She's in charge. Sheryl Sandberg is the top person. I think she got a pass with this whole thing because this should have been stopped immediately. Obviously, you don't want people how to burn Jews, for business advertising, creating groups with this. No, she screwed up big time, big time. And why did she screw up so bad? How did she lose touch with everything? I wonder why. Let's look deeper into her background. Okay, let's go here. Talking about Mark Zuckerberg. He's a computer scientist and technologist and a real product visionary. I think he's a lot more than that. Okay, I think this is a major short shift of Mr. Zuckerberg. But okay, whatever. I am much more of a business person. He builds products and I do the deals. And that works out really well, says Sandberg. Well, it worked out well for you to get paid, but it didn't work well when his company that he built was being destroyed and damaged. Okay, so let's go deeper. We got her resume here. Okay, so here's her resume. Okay, COO, proud mother, women's rights activist. I've never seen a resume like this myself. Most people, they talk about the job they're doing. I don't like people who have an agenda. Okay, not that I don't like them. It's just that I don't think it's good or fair or right. Okay, so for example, let's say that I have an agenda and I work for your company. Now let's say my agenda is I'm a member of a small religion. Okay, I'm some cult. Okay, I'm part of some cult that you never heard of, right? Now, I like to hire people from my cult, right? So I'm going to start not so much judging on the skills. I'm going to hire them based on, are they, in my cult, right? I want to make money for my friends. I don't think that's good for the company. Okay, people with an agenda, people hiring only Christians, women only hiring women. And believe me, I have definitely found this in Hollywood. I worked with a top level executive. I'm not going to say which studio, and she told me I only hire women. And I looked at her flabbergasted because that's illegal, And she's like, that's the way it is. I only hire women. She was lesbian, by the way. But so there's outrageous, sexism going on, but it's not out there, right? But either way, so back to her. So she's running one of the biggest companies in the world, okay? The CEO is very high up in a company. It's not just another title. Chief Operating Officer. Okay, I was the CEO of a Silicon Valley company for a short period of time. We raised money for it. That was actually my title. So I'm quite familiar with what a CEO is and does. And usually they have a lot of marketing responsibility too, right? But proud mother and women's rights activist, I mean, this is her resume, for God's sake. You know, what did you do on your job? Okay, let's look at this here. Okay, so she helped build Facebook. She users, blah, blah, blah. Lean In Foundation. So she's got a foundation. Let's see here. 150 countries, 33,000 people. She worked to build relationships with Beyonce, Jennifer Garner, Jane Lynch. And she created campaigns like Ban Bossy, which is basically you can't call women bossy. Don't call me bossy. And Lean In Together, which I'm not familiar with that one. Ban Bossy got actually heavily parodied by even feminists because it was so outrageous. Even feminist organizations did not like Ban Bossy, actually. It was really hardcore on the extreme, okay? And a lot of people didn't like that because, and I'll just give you a quick recap why they didn't like it is women said, look, I'm a responsible person, okay? I manage a company. I am the fucking boss of my company, okay? Don't ban Bossy. Like, I am the boss. Like, the buck stops here with me. And then, like, and it's not like Bossy, like, if you're the boss, you're the fucking boss. Like, that's it, right? It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go into the psychoanalysis. I don't want to analyze her too deeply on this one, but obviously she was being called bossy a lot, right? Whatever. Okay, fine. But a lot of people didn't like this. And it takes a lot of exercise. You know, if you're going to found and run a nonprofit that is in 150 countries, okay, and bring in top level talent, entertainment talent, and you're going to be on hundreds of magazines, news sites, interviews everywhere, Oprah, everything. It takes a lot of your time. Okay, it takes a lot of time to do this. I mean, yeah, this is amazing to me that she runs the most important part of one of the biggest companies in the world, and she also has this Lean In Foundation. And I think this is part of the story here. Is she was spread way too thin, okay? Way too thin. And she was building her own brand up while she's using Google and Facebook to pay the bills, right? And also to get very, very rich. Okay, so here's her schedule. This is on her resume, okay? Does your resume look like this? A day in my life. My life, yeah? Drop kids off at school. So she drops kids off at school. Now, keep in mind, she's running one of the biggest companies, one of the most profitable, one of the busiest companies in the world that changes their code 3 times a day, a very busy company full of programmers. Programmers, if you've ever been to Silicon Valley, they take Ritalin and drugs. They take, not Ritalin. What's the one they take? I can't remember it. Everybody at the company I was working at in Silicon Valley was taking it. It's like a speed. But it basically, helps you to work harder so you can program all night. Okay, so she's working with people who work their ass off. People are slaves in Silicon Valley. Absolute slaves. This idea of male privilege in Silicon Valley, spare me. These guys work their balls off. They are absolute fucking slaves. And the reason why is because they want to cash out. So they're like, I will ruin my life for a period of number of years in the hopes of being super rich. That's the gamble they're making, which is fair. Okay, but that is the gamble they're making. How come she's dropping her kids off at school? I don't know. Let's look deeper into it. Her job is to prepare my daily to-do list. Next, her C is fight fake news. Research how people use social media to improve Facebook ads targeting. Sit down to family dinner. And then practice gratitude. Does that sound like a busy person to you? Sit down to family dinner, drop kids off at school. To me, this almost sounds like someone who doesn't have a job. Not to mention running one of the biggest companies in the world, right? Okay, now let's go deeper into this. Okay, so the rabbit hole here, right? Okay, here we go. So why was there a scandal? Why did she not understand her own technology? Why did she wait 6 days to respond? And she didn't even respond until after Mark Zuckerberg responded, okay? Sheryl Sandberg, and this is a series of articles. You can search this yourself. There's tons of articles about Sheryl Sandberg leaves work at 5:30. Okay. Sheryl Sandberg leaves work at 5:30. She drops her kids off at school, which is probably 8 o'clock. Then she drives to work. There's a lot of traffic in Silicon Valley. Okay. It's a busy place. Yeah. Then she gets to work. She works until 5:30, and then she gets home, and then she makes dinner. Okay? So this is a woman who has a nonprofit in 150 countries. She's running Facebook ads. Now, is there even a remote chance that you could do this job with this schedule? Anybody? Is there any human being? I didn't even look up Mark Zuckerberg's schedule because I know what it is. It's 24 hours a day. Mark Zuckerberg is working 24 hours a day. His phone is going off when he's sleeping. He's waking up, looking at it, sending messages, going back to sleep. All people that run companies like Facebook, it's kind of hell. I mean, like really, it's if you know any CEOs, they work so hard and their hours are so brutal. It's like there's a reason why the men die 5 years younger than women. You know, it's like they work their fucking balls off all the time, right? And especially top-level executives and billionaire top-level executives in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is one of the most competitive places. If you work in steel or you work in, concrete, the hours are not nearly as punishing as Facebook. Facebook, Google, they're famous for being brutal. I mean, just absolutely brutal. People work all the time. But Sheryl Sandberg, she leaves work at 5:30. Okay. She's a proud believer in leaving the office on time and creating balance in her life. Okay. All right. So let's get in here. She works from, let's say, 9 to 5:30. And she probably eats lunch too. Well, there you go. That's less than 8 hours. Okay. Well, here we go. Long hours are a badge of honor, blah, 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 blah. But she declared that it's like, I walk out of this office every day at 5:30, so I'm home for dinner with my kids at 6. And interestingly, it's interesting for her, I've been doing this since I had kids. I did that when I was at Google. I did that here. I would say it's not until last year, 2 years, that I'm brave enough to talk about it publicly. Brave. She's so brave. She's not brave enough to let her employees leave at 5:30 though. That's another thing. But she leaves early. She's in a new class of executives, affirmative action. I think it's the mommy royalty class. It's a very small group of people, but they kind of get everything. They get the opportunity to work with the Treasury, to be the chief of staff for somebody, top level cabinet member. They get Harvard. They get, they get the sweet positions as board members and top. And also, they don't have to play by the rules. They can leave work pretty much whenever they want, which is what she's saying here, right? She's not saying it, but obviously if the kids are sick, she's going to take that into consideration. And she might leave a little earlier in that case, right? It's important. It's a quality of life thing. You wouldn't understand. You guys that are working all the time. And I can imagine the women that work under her that have kids, I'm sure they're just grinding their teeth reading this, They're like, I can't go. And that bitch leaves at 5:30. It's not a huge surprise. I'm telling you, I know a guy. Okay, I know a CEO of a company. He's not a CEO of the worldwide. He's CEO of a certain country, which I'm not going to say. And his dad is CEO of the whole company. And he leaves work at the same kind of time. And I'm telling you right now, everybody hates him in the company. And that's the way it is. And when his dad retired, they hated, I should say, because he's not there anymore. The day his dad retired, he announced his retirement the same day. And the reason why is because, he didn't do the work that everybody else expects, right? If you leave at 5:30, man, you create a massive resentment, okay? This is no small thing. I did my research on this one. This is the problem right here. She doesn't work. She doesn't work on weekends. Okay, we saw that she posts pictures of herself having fun on weekends. And this is the weekend of the collapse of Facebook, essentially, or the major turmoil. She's not going to go into work even on the weekend of the biggest challenge of her career. She just didn't even bother. She posted about her nonprofit on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday last week. So this woman does not work weekends, and she leaves work at 5:30, right? This right here, and then she talks about the reasons why it's killer on the families. Children are happier, healthier, and better performing, blah, 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 when they eat with their families. Okay, now, you might take that at what do you call it? Point blank, or not point blank. You might take that at face value. But I dug into it. Okay, so what she's hinting here is the reason why she leaves work early is for her children. This is an absolute lie. I'm going to prove it right here. Okay, so let's go to her TED Talk. Okay, so here's her TED Talk and why we have too few women leaders. I'll put all these links below. So this is her talking, and watch it. It's worth watching. And she says in here, which I thought was ice cold, man. Ice cold, baby. Ice cube. And she said that when she was coming to make a speech, obviously it was on a weekend, her daughter was grabbing her leg and crying and begging her not to leave, saying, "Mommy, don't go, don't go." And she said, you can watch it out of her mouth. And she said, "My daughter was doing the grab your leg and cry and say they don't want you to go shtick or thing." Her daughter was doing it's like some kind of scam. It's like it's a trick that kids pull. It's like this thing they pull on you. It's not like because they love you. It's not because they're afraid. It's not because they need their mother and their father. It's not because of that. No, it's a scam the kids pull. It's a way to pull at your heartstrings is what she's saying. I think to me, it's proof she's a terrible mother. I mean, really. And what was she doing? What was she leaving the kids for? The kids are crying in the airport, grabbing her leg, screaming that she shouldn't go. Where was she going? Was she going to work? The reason why she doesn't work hard is because of her kids, is what she said. No, she was going to promote Lean In, which is her nonprofit. Her main business is her nonprofit. So she uses her children as an excuse of why she doesn't work hard. But actually, she takes all her time and puts it in the nonprofit. 150 countries, 33,000 members. It requires enormous amount of time. This woman, and while her own company's is being crushed, is being attacked, Mark Zuckerberg is probably losing his fucking mind right now, and she's posting about the 5th anniversary of her nonprofit. This is a waste of space, absolute waste of space, and this is why people get super. People wonder why guys are pissed off today. It's like this is so unfair, and I just didn't like when people talked about that bridge collapsing because it's not about death, man. It's about everything. It's everything. It's your life. It's your kid's life. It's your son. It's everybody. That people should not be in these jobs if they don't deserve it and if they don't go to work and if they don't work hard. It just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. The society's gone crazy. That's all I can say. I'm serious. That's what I feel like. Sometimes I just feel like society's just gone crazy. The woman hardly comes into work. She doesn't work on weekends, even when her company's on the verge of the biggest collapse ever. Stock price is plummeting. She doesn't even bother going to work, and she doesn't even post about it. She doesn't do her job. She doesn't hire a PR company. She doesn't come out. She doesn't stop the damage. She posts about her nonprofit. It's all about her. Let's promote the nonprofit because maybe she knows she's going to get fired. And she's like, well, at least I got my nonprofit. She could care less about Facebook, right? Who gives a damn, And she, okay, let's go back to that. Okay, so here we go. I'll just quickly get through here. Okay, Sheryl Sandberg messaged women, too often we suffer from the tyranny of low expectations, right? And she said when she was in charge of Sumner's Treasury Department, she would grab, get this, at the Treasury Department, Sumner's conference table always seemed to fill up with male senior officials, right? They were officials that was their job to be in the meeting, okay? Weren't male on purpose. They were people doing their job. They're showing up to do their job. That wasn't good enough for her. So she would call junior staffers, women, from the sidelines and grab them for a seat at the table. And there's no seats because the boardroom and the meetings, top meetings, you can't bring anybody into a meeting. You can't bring your friend from the schoolyard or from the street corner into any kind of meeting, okay? That's not how business operates. It fucks everything up. In any meeting, you have a complex, you have hierarchy, you have protocol, There's so many things happening in a meeting. If you bring some moron into a meeting, into a major business meeting, you are screwing things up. I've had a guy do it to me before. I actually had a guy bring in his mistress in China to a meeting, and it really pissed me off. I was making a major presentation, and he brought in his mistress. It wasn't even his wife. He brought in I couldn't believe it. I was like flabbergasted. Everybody was flabbergasted. Nobody knew what to say. So meetings are important. Who shows up at meetings is very important. This woman is absolutely privileged to the max. Even the Treasury Secretary would not tell her not to do something that is very unacceptable. No matter what you think about women, you cannot take people into meetings like that. It just doesn't happen. It's totally unacceptable. You can petition to bring people in if you want to. You can say, hey, look, I'm going to bring in somebody to our board. And the reason why I want to do it is because I think we need some outside opinions. I think that we're too, micromanaging. We see the forest, we don't see the trees. Then we see the trees, we don't see the forest, right? So I'm going to bring in this person from this other industry, and he's going to be in the meeting. This is his name. Here's his resume. Do you approve? Okay, we approve. Okay, he comes in. Fine. She just grabs women and just brings them in. It's kind of like bring your daughter to work day. When any meeting with Sheryl Sandberg, it's like any woman outside cleaning or whatever, she's just going to pull her in and say, hey, make room for her, I'm sure she was like a piece of work to work with, this woman. That kind of stuff is so unacceptable. If a man did it, oh my God, he'd be so fired. It's just, she's gotten away with so much stuff. And now it's hopefully going to come crumbling down. Probably she'll just step into a better role, I'm guessing, after Facebook loses billions of dollars, or who knows how much they're going to lose. And also users and, oh man, terrible. Okay. Okay, talking about lean in. Her husband passed away in Mexico years ago, and she used that as her story. And I tell you something, I don't like this kind of emotional story about death. I hate this. There's a guy I really respect, James Shremko. He's a marketer in Australia, and James always says he hates marketers who make up these stories, or they say, "Oh, I almost died in a car crash." And that's when I had this realization, and that's when I turned my life around, and I created this company. And they use a near-death experience to sell you something, right? James said that, and I thought, I really hate that too. I heard that years ago. I'm like, James is right about that. I don't like that. She used her own husband's death as a way to make people feel sorry for her. In many, many interviews, she overcame. She kept talking about it over and over. The guy died 1 million times in her stories, right? I don't know how the guy would feel about it. I personally would not want to. I would not want to exploit anybody's death in my family for monetary gain. That's untouchable for me. Everybody's got different morals. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just something that stands out of my mind as being pretty strange. Your own husband, right? So when she's interviewed, all she talks about is gender equality. Here she is running Facebook. Gender equality is one of the biggest ideas of our time, or any other. While people are thinking and talking about it, we too often suffer from the tyranny of low expectations. We become resigned to the status quo, incremental progress. That's not good enough. I remember the 2012 election when women run an all-time high of 20 seats in the U.S. Senate. Is 20 better than 19? Yes. But the commentary about women taking over the Senate was not enough. They only hold the fifth. Everything is about this. Nothing is about AdWords, technology. Women need to study. They need to work hard. The whole meaning of this interview is that women are getting screwed, and they need to get violent, and they need to not violent. I shouldn't say violent. They need to proactively just pull people in, just do things regardless of the rules. That's her. This is Sheryl Sandberg's perspective, okay? And I think, here's what I want to say. You can break the rules, okay? You want to break the rules? You can. But there's a saying. You live by the sword, you fucking die by the sword, okay? And you got to be willing to do that. So like I said, I was a recruiter, and at the end of my career, I was making tons of money. I was doing very well. I shouldn't say tons of money. I was making $100,000 a month. I was enjoying it. I was having a great time. And I realized I don't like wearing suits at some period. And I started wearing jeans to work. And most of my clients were like, whoa, in Tokyo, jeans at work, pretty outrageous, But the thing is, I was willing to lose a couple clients because I didn't like to wear suits all day because I rode motorcycle to work. I liked to, after work, go out every night, have fun. I didn't want to be in my suit every night. Tokyo's a huge city. I couldn't get back home. And so I made the conscious decision that I was going to wear jeans to work. And also I like jeans. I like wearing jeans. So I was like, I don't like wearing suits, you know? So I'm going to wear jeans at the time. And I made this decision and I knew I was going to lose some business. And in fact, I did lose one client. He just said, I can't take you seriously in jeans. And I said, I totally respect that. You know, that's totally fine. But everybody else kind of looked at me like, I actually got the opposite in the end for my career. I made more money because a lot of my clients were like, you got confidence, man. So like, you coming in here in jeans, you know? And I was like, look, I know I can do it. I know I can do what you need done. Okay. And people knew it. By then I was getting a reputation too. So it was like a win-win. Like the jeans made it, you know, obvious that I wasn't going to listen to other people. I was going to do it my way. And obviously you got to be pretty good to come into a meeting with the CEO of a major company in Tokyo when you're wearing jeans, right? At the time. Now there's like something called business casual in Japan, and it's changed a lot. Cool Japan, Uniqlo clothes and all this stuff has changed. We're talking now in the 90s, and I was doing this. And I was the only one I knew doing this. And I was willing to pay the price. She leaves work at 5:30. She spends all her time on her own projects. She puts all her energy into her project. She ignores her kids. Okay, they're crying. She's gone. She's using her kids as a way to get off work early. Okay, essentially. She uses her husband as a marketing tool for her thing. Fine. Live by the sword. The thing is, you got to die by the sword too. You got to say, I use these people in my life to make money, to build myself up. And when it comes crashing down, baby, it comes crashing down because people figure you out. That's what happens. That's why I say to you guys is that this whole movement is not about women. It's about you. You need to make the right choices in your life. You need to both protect yourself, obviously, from outside influence, but you also have to take responsibility and become a better person every day and learn and be around better people so that you know what the next step is, so you can constantly improve yourself. That's where it's at, okay? Because if you don't, if you get lazy, your human nature will just let you drive you down lower and lower. I mean, using your children to get out of work, pretty sleazy when you're not really spending time with them, when you're out working on your other projects. To me, that's pretty sleazy. That's like pretty lowest of the low type thing to me. And I'm not 100% sure. This is what I'm just putting it together. You read these links, you listen, you tell me what you think. Obviously, we're going to know more in the future. But in some of this stuff, you wouldn't know unless you were her. But she gives it away with that TED Talk. Is that her time away from her children was due to her nonprofit. And I think she needs to really reevaluate her life in many ways, you know. And I think also Facebook should face up to the fact that you never get good team when your manager leaves, okay? The manager is it's like the military, okay? Why does somebody follow a certain... You ever heard of John Basilone? John Basilone was one of the American soldiers. There's a great scene of him at the Guadalcanal in the War of the Pacific. What was it called? Pacific? I think the Pacific, called the Pacific. Yeah, it was a series. I'll put the link in below. It is absolutely fantastic. And he ended up getting the Medal of Honor, and he eventually ended up dying in the battle. I forgot which battle it was he died in. I know I can picture it in my mind, him crossing that empty field and throwing the hand grenade in the pillbox and finally getting hit by a stray bullet. But either way, people like that, he would lead. He would go first into the machine gun fire, right? There's one scene where he comes across a whole regiment like hundreds of German troops and just starts shooting them by himself up on the hill. He's just like, boom, boom, boom. And finally the Marine Corps said, we got to get this guy off the battlefield and get him into management because he's going to get killed. Like, it's good that he did this. Awesome. But like, there's a point where you take an awesome man and you cannot let him die. You gotta like protect him at some point from himself. And eventually they couldn't even do that. He begged to go back and he went back and died. And the guy was the real deal. John Basilone. But this type of person is the exact opposite. Nobody follows you. I guarantee she has no followers inside her company. Because when you leave at work at 5:30, when you don't take responsibility, when you don't step up, when you don't answer emails on weekends, when you don't do things, you just get, you're just seen as like a user. And when you make $1 billion off something too, like, doesn't she have a few minutes to spare to get some stuff done at work to protect her own boss? Here's the handjob articles written about her in the past. This was Inc. magazine who wrote the other one now, honest one about her. But is she the real brains at Facebook? Come on, you guys. Everybody knows it's Michael. It's Mark Zuckerberg. Are you kidding me? I'm not even going to go through this article because it's such a joke. But let's go here. So here's another article. This is a lawn crime site, and they're basically saying that she is forcing New York Times to rewrite articles to take an unflattering reference out about her. And again, this is the type of thing that was not going to happen with women executives. None of this stuff was going to happen. It's all coming down. And this is the New York Times. He's pressuring them. This is about the Russia thing. But she forced them to rewrite an article. Now it's coming out, the cover-up. Even the New York Times, everybody's like, very liberal paper is now citing against her because it's just too outrageous. Don't tell us what to do. Here's feminists talking about ban Bossy, which was her campaign. This woman here says she didn't like ban Bossy because it's about restricting bad stuff rather than creating compelling alternative, right? So it's basically like saying you can't say this rather than saying here's what you can do to make things better. Now, she was like, don't say Bossy, don't say this, don't do this. It's another restriction with no solution. So basically it's a restriction that's like putting landmines in Cambodia. Eventually somebody's going to step on them, right? And they're going to get blown up and lose a leg, right? That's what happens when you just put landmines all over the place. People will step on them, lose their careers. And what's really unfair about this whole thing, this politically correct thing, is that the dumbest people step on them, okay? That's a fact. The better communicators, the people that are sharper, they don't fall afoul of these rules as much. The smoother guys don't make the same mistakes, right? The smoother women, the more educated. The dumber people are the ones who fall. If you leave a bunch of landmines around there, someone's going to pick it up thinking it's some kind of a toy, right? It's going to blow up, right? Smart people will be like, oh, landmine, And then, of course, some of them are hidden, right? You don't even know. But she was like a lot of her campaign that she lived for, her lean in that she spends all her time on, away from her kids. She still, even feminists were like, don't like it. A lot of people didn't like it. And then what do we get here? What is the final thing that she did today? Finally, after not saying anything for 7 days, she says basically she could not guarantee more breaches wouldn't come to light, which basically means it's a house of cards. It's all fallen. We've done this a million times. Everything's coming out. And then she said, basically, we're open to regulation. Okay, that is basically like when you spread your cheeks and you put like grease up your butthole and you tell the government. It's kind of like John Rockefeller fought Standard Oil, fought being broken up, and they eventually did break it up. But she's basically saying like, I don't even understand what I'm doing. There's no way I can fix this. There's tons more coming out soon. So expect this. She's telling us there's going to be more coming out, and trust me, there will be. And she's basically saying like, I didn't know what I was doing. My whole thing's a joke. Come in, government, and save me. It's an attempt. It's a very weak attempt to kind of evade responsibility. And I think it'll work. It's kind of like a street gang saying, we're doing a lot of bad stuff. So police come in and, do things, fix it up for us, make sure that we don't, commit too many crimes. And, let's get, you guys come in, we're not going to, what she should have done is she should have been on top of it 6 days ago. She should have been on the major news. She should have been reassuring people. And what's really funny, and here's what is really hilarious to me, is when she was hired, I don't know if you remember this, she was hired and she was called the adult in the room. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg was supposedly some kid. Okay, I don't care about his age. The guy was a genius. Okay, a lot of genius books, a lot of Albert Einstein, a lot of people like this, they came up with their best ideas when they were young. Okay, so don't give me this, you got to be old to have a good idea kind of thing. A lot of the composers, they wrote all their stuff before they were 22. It's really common. Some people even when they were 14. right? So this idea you have to be old is total bullshit to me. Genius is genius, right? I'll take anybody. I don't care what age. Somebody's a genius, I bow down, man. It's like, awesome. I understand. You're awesome. Like these fake fucking, bloodsuckers like Sandberg, she's bloodsucking off of Google and Facebook. She's a very good bloodsucker here. She's a billionaire now. And she's going to leave, and I'm sure there'll be no criminal charges. She'll just walk away. She just walk away. Guess what? She's going to walk away. She's going to fall into a huge down pillow. And that's her lean in, band bossy. This will be, she just walks in there. She's a billionaire. It's all over. She doesn't need to get another job. She's done. It doesn't matter what happens to Facebook stock or anything. She's already vested plenty. She's fine. She's fine. So she's just saying basically like, government, come in and, here's Facebook butthole, you can just go ahead and shove your, dildo in there. Don't worry about it. And just come in here because we don't know what we're doing. And the truth is she doesn't know what she's doing. It's her division. I've never seen somebody say something like this before. I really can't. It's ultimately saying we have no idea what to do, and there's a lot more coming. So basically, we were complete idiots, and the private sector cannot fix this. We need government, and it's a way of throwing herself down so that the company doesn't get broken up. So there's one thing good about it is like at least she's not saying something to break it up, But I don't know. To me, it's absolutely pathetic. It shouldn't have happened. It should have been done better. And I don't want to go too much on this, but that's what I see. That's the way I see it. Sheryl Sandberg, another executive, was supposed to change the world, change everything. She was old school. She was a cover-up artist. She was backroom deals. She was Harvard. She was privileged. She was dishonest. She was also a lot of new things like not hardworking. Like I said, the royalty, come in at 9, leave at 5:30. This is not Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is a very tough place, man. That Silicon Valley TV show is actually it's pretty good to watch. Watch those guys work. They work their asses off. They're always working, right? That's why the show is all about them always working. They're never out doing anything. It's always fucking working, right? Or talking about the business, right? Trying to figure out something, right? That's the way it is in Silicon Valley. When I worked there, I was at the founder's house. Our top programmer was upstairs. We were together 24 hours a day when we weren't sleeping. And I slept 6 hours a day, and I got shit for it. I got shit for sleeping 6 hours a day. I did. They called me old, like you're not up, like we have to go. And they were taking, what was that pills they were taking? Some kind of, what is it? It's like super common in Silicon Valley. But something to keep you awake. And they were all taking those pills and trying to get me to take them. That's Silicon Valley, man. That's the reality of Silicon Valley. It ain't like this at all. This is so outrageous. And again, not surprised. And is the media going to pick up on this? I hope so. I really hope so. I hope that American business has the self-preservation skills to stop this poison of hiring people and also affirmative action. This is what it leads to. This is the final result. So you give somebody a leg up in the beginning that doesn't deserve it. Well, some of these people are going to be pretty good and pretty lucky, and they're going to end up running big companies like this. And then they're going to end up creating a lot of damage, right? So you have to be careful. We need to go back. We need to go to an absolutely transparent system where people are judged only by their skills. And that's it. And anybody is seen as having an agenda gets fined, gets fired, right? No more. I understand why it started, but we're in 2018 now. It's a different era. Right now we're seeing billions of dollars lost, maybe even trillions total. If you look at the data breach of the affirmative action hire, Susan Malden, we're seeing like major repercussions for every single working American. It's like, how many torpedoes can we take? We can't take that many. We can't take fighting lawsuits for our credit. We can't take overnight a company, our biggest competitor to Tencent, going down in value a massive amount because some woman doesn't do her job. We need, or it doesn't matter if it's a man. Again, man or woman, Nobody's hired because of nepotism. Nobody's hired because of their religion. Nobody's hired because of their sex. Okay? So I hope you understand that. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else. No nepotism, no hiring based on religion, no based on gender, not based on any of those things. It's based on ability only, period. Yeah? And anybody breaking that rule should be punished. There should be a punishment for that. Because those days are over. I understand how it started. Fine. That was fine. Yeah? Things change. 2018, come on, guys. I know we can do it. I know America can do it. Can rise to the challenge, because these are grave challenges we're facing. It requires a lot of education, because people think that, if you don't hire minorities, put them in positions above people who had better scores. So if you put, let's say, a Hispanic above an Asian person because they scored lower than the Asian person, you don't put them, then you're racist. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Best man for the job, best woman for the job. That's the way it should be from now on. Ronin Man signing off. Hope you enjoyed that. To me, I think that was a fucking good podcast. This is important. This is Sheryl Sandberg. We're talking some important stuff here, and I hope this one goes viral. and Sarah, she listens to it. That'd be awesome. Get her commenting down below. All right, guys, thanks for listening. And girls, I know we're getting 7%, going up to 8% women now. Can't believe it. Either way, everybody's welcome. This is about fairness, honesty, getting to the heart of the matter, this podcast. So I hope we did it one more day. All right. Take it easy. Ronin Man signing off.